So Whitney Webb, the author of these two books that I prominently cited a lot in my interview with Joe Rogan just the other day, just gave a really great big response to the whole situation on X that I want to highlight. She corrected some things that I maybe misrepresented and got wrong, which is super appreciated. And she gave her take on some things that we should all know about and I should respond just a little bit to. And first, Media 101, it should be obvious that I do not speak for Whitney Webb and I do not represent Whitney Webb's work. I represent my own work and I do my best to read other people's work and to learn from it. But Whitney's way smarter than me. Whitney is way smarter than me. I've read this shit 3 times now and I still have to take notes and look things up because it's so complex. And obviously she's going to know way more about it than me. So in general, I couldn't agree with more with every single thing that she said here, but I'll address a few specific points. First off, she's really kind in how she words it, but I don't take any offense at her correcting me when I'm wrong. And I actually appreciate it a lot because I learned a fair bit about the bigger picture from this response. And ego doesn't serve anyone. When you're looking for truth, you can't have ego. That is incompatible. She's absolutely right. The best way to understand her book is to read it. And she's out here giving out free links to her books, which is great, but you should really buy it and support her. I'm also a huge fan of the idea of her going on Rogan's platform in the future. That would be a really cool conversation that I would be dying to listen to. She has this really great breakdown of clarifying the nature of the Israeli intelligence world and the network that she's exposing. And at first read, it's like, oh, Epstein was not Mossad, she says, which she's correct about. And she explains that actually this is a much more complicated sort of like Jewish, Israeli, ethno-fascist kind of a organization. You should just read her words either here on screen or going to X and reading it directly in order to get what she's saying. Whitney is far more precise than me, which is why she's far better at being a hardcore journalist that can publish books of this quality than I am. I'm a generalist, just a regular dude who just wants to learn, and I've never tried to represent myself as being the expert on anything, and that is still true to this day. I'm just a guy that's reading and trying to make sense of what's going on, having fun doing it. I am not the best person to represent these views. Someone like Whitney would be far better at it than me, but I'm the one that wound up in the chair being asked the questions, and so I did my best to represent it as best as I could. One comment that I made that's been taken I didn't word it well. I totally botched my wording on the podcast where Whitney's talking about how her current reporting on technocracy and sort of like this coming techno-fascist state. I think I used the word unhinged in the podcast. Is when I brought up Whitney's name, Joe kind of offered sort of this oh no, I haven't seen her work and what I've seen of her seems a little I don't know. And so I was trying to address his sentiment there to say, what I meant to say was that a lot of people, when they encounter her new work, might feel like she's unhinged. Gigi is what's unhinged. Whitney is not unhinged. Because people might get that impression because she's so well researched and she goes so deep into things that are very complex that it can be a little intense for a new person's mind. What I meant to say is that she's not unhinged. You should read her work, and a good place to start is with One Nation Under Blackmail, because she is sourced, she's cited, she's extremely academic and extremely precise. So that was me trying to allay Joe's fears and acknowledge that some people feel that way, but that is not the case. And Whitney's right, that Epstein's transition from sort of classical blackmail techniques into promoting, funding, researching, developing really sketchy technological solutions with people like Peter Thiel and Palantir as just one example. Those are in the book and they're a really important part and it's super interesting, and her ongoing reporting about it, super interesting. She says she's not sure if I've discussed Peter Thiel and Palantir very much. She's not super familiar. This is one criticism I get a lot. I've not discussed them nearly enough. You could never discuss these guys nearly enough. Peter Thiel is very tied into our current administration, has given lots of funding to people like J.D. Vance especially, but to all kinds of especially Republicans. And he's someone that we should be very critical of and very careful about and watch very closely. And I intend to make a lot more content about that in the coming months. And I guarantee that Whitney Webb's reporting on that will feature prominently in my reporting in the coming months. The whole comment about the Eric Prince phone, Whitney Webb correctly identified that was kind of just supposed to be an offhanded comment. It was just it was the only version of a not Apple phone that came to my mind. And I think it was actually because I did read Whitney's article about it once. And so that was why it was in my mind. And she's right. She adds a whole bunch of great context about how actually that project that Eric Prince did to make that phone, he collaborated with Israeli Unit 8200 people with Thiel funded thing. I would not buy that phone. That was just an offhanded comment in a podcast with my homie. 100% agree. In conclusion, Whitney represents her own work. I do not represent Whitney Webb, but I do encourage everyone to purchase her books if you can, to support her work, to read it, and try to learn from her. Because in this decentralized media space, we all have our own skill sets. And I am not a Whitney Webb. I am not one of these highly intelligent, like just brilliant journalist minds. I am a presenter. I'm a connector. I'm a communicator. My skill is virality. And that is why I have risen so quickly, because I understand how to be on screen and how to create content that is engaging, although this one is a little less engaging because I'm just being informative right now. I have a lot of the skill sets that is good at making me go viral, but that is not the same set of skill sets that is good at making comprehensive books filled with research that are cited and sourced. We need people like Whitney Webb to be doing these kinds of things. And the more good you are at going viral and at that whole game, often the more open you are to getting things wrong, the more open you are to criticism, the more open you are to kind of like flame wars and drama, because those skill sets are not the same skill sets as being like the highly precise, intelligent people. That's why I tend to rely on the work done by those sort of more hardcore journalists in order for me to do my research, and I try my best to cite their work because they are far smarter than me. So to wrap it all up, it's a whole shitstorm and it's going to be drama. And most of the criticisms I've seen so far are character attacks, either on me or on people that I've associated with. And that should be obvious that that is not, engagement with the arguments, with the facts, and with the evidence. I'm trying my best to engage genuinely with anyone that does have genuine, conversations to start about the evidence and about the actual facts. Certainly, no one should trust what I say as gospel. You should think for yourself, and you should do your own research. You should buy and read books. You should search things online when you don't understand them, and you should take notes and slowly develop your own understanding of the world. My goal is not to be like the journalist that is like the most hardcore, know-it-all, everything guy. My goal is to inspire the world for all of us to be a little bit more of that guy ourselves, or girl. My goal is to just demonstrate the process of a regular guy trying to get informed as best as he can and sharing whatever truth he uncovers and the sources there and the process of discussing information openly and honestly like an adult. Because this issue, the Israel Epstein sort of like catch-all issue, is better than any almost at illustrating how when things get propagandized, politicized, and get tied into complex secret schemes that are supposed to stay secret, influences that are not supposed to be exposed, very quickly free speech turns into controlled, limited hangouts that are carefully crafted like networks of ideas designed to shut us down from talking. The solution is to just talk about it. And lastly, because I just mentioned the concept of a limited hangout, which is like where they wall you in and keep you from learning the real information, so you only learn the controlled information. That's what a limited hangout is. I got to shout out Whitney Webb's website because it's got the best name ever and it's a treasure trove of research. This is one of those names that I'll always be jealous that I didn't think of. Unlimited Hangout, such a good name. Gosh, it always makes me happy when I go to Unlimited Hangout, and it's filled with articles of high quality with sourced information, digging into like very important stuff. And it's a great place to stop by if you want to be learning about like the things that we're not supposed to talk about. And things that are not politically motivated, things that are not politically popular, criticisms of Trump, criticisms of Elon, criticisms of everyone in power. Whitney is the real deal. And I am very proud of how I represented my perspectives and myself on Joe Rogan's podcast. Very happy for that opportunity. It was tons of fun, and I'm very thankful to have gotten that opportunity. I just want to shout out, the people where this work is coming from, and hopefully expose as many people as possible to Whitney's response to clear up any of the misconceptions or any of the things that I got wrong. So drink some water, eat some healthy food, and be nice to someone tomorrow.